What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This video is going to be recapping this week's Cord of the Rings stream featured over on twitch.tv/LOTRO stream, and it is for June 30th of 2023. Now, this particular Cord of the Rings, it was a little bit more tame as compared to a couple weeks ago with the Sutherland live stream and some of the previous ones where we've had some announcements and info drop. This one is a little bit more straightforward. We've got a couple things with some upcoming patches and some updates with the store and things like that. A lot of stuff that's coming. So the first thing that is talked about is the patch of 36.0.2. This particular patch actually released earlier this week on June 26th, and it didn't really have a ton in it. It is a minor release on here. There is some stuff about the Warden Cardalon essences to the Huntsman traceries at level 120, 130, and 140, and then also a 4-piece set bonus issue for the burglars, guaranteeing a devastate hit after using aim. There are some localization updates in there for some of the French and German clients, and also some PVMP updates. Now, there is one that I wanted to point out here, and there is a update to the tinctures that formerly boosted Audacity were causing some unwanted behaviors in the Ettenmoors. As a result, we have changed the benefit of these items to apply a 5% boost to commendation earns for 60 minutes and can only be used every 60 minutes. On a side note, there is a update specifically to the burglars that they weren't able to complete the Ettenmoors tutorial to receive a piece of gear and the map. I actually experienced this with one of my buddies that was playing the game. He wasn't able to do the quest line, and we were researching a bunch of stuff on it, and it turns out it was actually a bug specific to burglars. Siege equipment still disabled, so we will be looking to see that in a future update for the siege equipment to come back. You can still barter for the recipes, you just can't do anything with them. Now, it looks like the lag performance updates were pushed to this week specifically for the delving missions and instances, so it looks like that particular issue should be resolved now. Now, being out in the Ettenmoors or in a larger group setting, I was still seeing a little bit more lag than I would like to see. It was a little bit better overall, so I'm hoping that they'll be able to gather some good data on this, and we'll be seeing some additional improvements to lag and performance in the game. There's a couple other smaller updates on this, with the delving weekly quest just getting some terminology changed in it. They did add delving quartermasters and delving mission givers to the 8 skirmish camps around the world, and that's really about it for this smaller update. We are going to see a more substantial update in a couple of weeks, and that's going to be with update 36. Now, we don't have a whole lot of details as to what is going to be in 36.1, so that is going to be a let's wait and find out type of update, but again, that is going to be in a couple of weeks. The next thing that was talked about on the stream was around loot boxes and what they contain. Now, several years ago, when the loot boxes came out in the game, there was an article that was posted on the LOTRO forums and on the news site, kind of displayed what types of gear and items you could get out of the loot boxes. It looks like we're going to get an update to that, to where we are going to see exactly what is in them. The actual loot inside the loot boxes is not going to be changing. We're just actually going to be able to see exactly what is in them now. And that's kind of nice because it gives you a little bit more of a feeling of you have a little bit more control over what you're going to get. There's not as much of a gamble. I know that sounds crazy and completely contradictory. Knowing what is in it is actually a possibility rather than just burning a key and just hoping that you get something cool and you don't even know what the possibilities are. Now, the next thing that it talks about is not really a game update so much as it was that they're going to be releasing the soundtracks from update 32 and on, so further on YouTube going forward. And I guess what's going to happen from then on is once it gets up to date, as a new soundtrack comes out, they will just be posting that on. Now, it was mentioned, they can't really do stuff with taking the actual sound files and putting them on things like Spotify or Apple Music or things like that, because there is some licensing issues with some of the older ones, because obviously you have things like Chance Thomas doing work with that, and that's a little bit different. The current game audio, which is done by Bill Champagne, the in-house composer, that's stuff that Lord of the Rings Online owns then, and they can do a little bit more what they want with. It's a little bit easier for them to put it up on YouTube, so that's the route that they're going currently. It also looks like work has begun on the Beorning Refresh, so make sure that you're getting over to the LOTRO forums and putting your thoughts over there for the developers that are working on that. Now, at the time of making this video, there isn't currently a developer thread on the Beorning rework, so make sure you're still going over there, checking and putting in your thoughts in your own thread. And when you see a forum post by a developer, go ahead and start talking about it. Make sure you're in the conversation. If you play a Beorning and you feel like you have some valuable insight, I would be sure to go over and add that. Now, as it has become fairly customary through the live streams, they will talk about their sales, bonuses, and things like that. So currently, you've got the LOTRO bonus days, which is a plus 25% XP boost now through July 4th. You also have some discounts on some of the more recent expansions. So now through July 9th, you can get 25% off Fate of Gundabad, 50% off 3 Peaks, and 75% off of Mordor and Minas Morgul. There have been some additional carryalls that have been added into the LOTRO store. So that is going to be the healers and instrument carryalls. They are now permanently the store. I did notice also that the Moore's carryall is in the shop now, so be careful with that one. If you buy that one, it makes it tougher to complete quests because sometimes you have to pull things of the carryall for the quest, and then you can put them back in, and it will actually complete the quest and pull the items out, but you just have to make sure that it goes into your regular inventory to actually update your questing. We do have double bonus points right now going on through July 9th, and there's also some other summer sales right now. So there's 35% off of the 2000 acceleration. You got the 50% off the 5000 enhanced reputation supply, 75% off the 100% mark acquisition, and that is all through July 6th. You also have a bunch of stuff going on with the housing decorations, the housing writs, property writs, cloaks, things like that. And the weekly coupon is the free elixir of heroism, which is simply just heroism as the coupon code you redeem in the store, also through July 6th. Along with all the sales and updates in that regard, there is going to be a new store. Now, Cord did really try to hammer home that this updated store is really not going to have any different functionality. It is just going to be kind of cleaned up, streamlined. The icons are going to look a little bit bigger. You know, some of the color and the formatting is going to be a little different, but it is updating the tech behind it so that it makes it so they can potentially do more later on and add more functionality to the store. But right now, the store is not going to behave any differently than the current store. It is more or less kind of a reskin to the current store. So don't look for anything that is going to be, you know, earth-shatteringly new, but the new store is going to be heading to a preview fairly soon, and then I would be imagining rolling out within the next month. There was some additional conversation around the stat squish and class balance, and even into having some of the trait lines adjusted in some of the classes. And I think it's important with this to note again that this is a stat or number squish. This is not a level squish. So you're just going to see a lot of these large numbers come down. So you're not going to see guardians and captains and wardens having 3 million health. It's going to be something a little bit more reasonable, again, like 150,000 health or something like that. You know, instead of having 150,000 might, you might have 10,000 might again, or even lower. The idea is just to bring the numbers down so it's easier to read and easier to parse. Now, what was mentioned with the trait lines is that they are looking at things like the work that was done with the minstrel a little while ago with making the yellow line more of a utility line rather than something you would spec into. The same work that was done with the brawler. They're looking at those things in other classes to see if they make sense, to see if there's trait lines that haven't been used or, you know, just are undervalued and things like that. So we're going to continue to see that through the rest of the year with additional classes being worked on. Some of those things may be adjusted, some of those may not. So a lot of the stuff in this update again was let's wait and find out. And I know unfortunately that is a common theme with game development, is we'll just have to wait and see what happens, and we'll get more information when we get it. So that's really all there was with this update. Like I said, this one was a little bit lighter than previous updates. In the meantime, make sure that you are following this channel, you're subscribed here. Also make sure that you are following over on Twitch at twitch.tv/bloodborne. Make sure you're hitting up all my other social media so you know what's going on and when I post new content, and I will see you guys in the next video.